Israel banking on cannabis potential. Jerusalem Raphael Mecho Ulam seems an unlikely figure to be called a pot pioneer. But the 88 most. His discovery was more than half a century ago, and today Israel has emerged as one of the world's leading research centers for medical uses of cannabis, according to industry experts. Unlike California, where the boom in medical marijuana has been a pathway to legalization for recreational use, Israel allows production for pharmacological purposes only. It is illegal to smoke. Now the country sees legal production of medicine based on cannabis as its next big industry, hoping to tap into a global market that research organizations estimate at $17 billion a year and growing. There are several factors that make Israel especially well positioned to capitalize on the drug's medical promise. Blessed with mild weather, lots of sunshine and sophisticated research and development sectors, Israel also has a tradition of educated farmers through the kibbutz system who can easily implement the precision. Researchers say the Israeli government has given enthusiastic support to the industry for decades. Medical marijuana. Modern understanding of pot's medicinal properties began in large part with Mecho Ulam, who in 1964 was a young professor curious about the unknown chemical composition of cannabis. A friendly police officer helped him smuggle 11 pounds of hashish from an evidence room. Mecho Ulam experimenting on his newly acquired stash, Mecho Ulam was able to isolate and identify tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, the main mind-altering component of cannabis, and cannabidiol, or CBD, which has therapeutic properties but does not get the user high. He was building on. After Mecho Ulam revived and expanded on Adam's data, it still took years for follow-up research to be developed, in part, Mecho Ulam said, because of the stigma once attached to an element classified by the US as a schedule. The ailments that Mecho Ulam and his associates say are being treated effectively with cannabis-based medicines include epilepsy, osteoporosis, obesity, and all sorts of pain, though they also acknowledge a need for more clinical studies that meet the most rigorous standards of scientific research. An estimated medical cannabis is one of the fastest growing sectors on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. 26th list, the liveliest champion of what he calls Israel's cannabis. That, he said, is a way to avoid lingering stigma and distinguish the medical side of the plant from its recreational use. On a recent morning in Israel, Lance Chaft buzzed from a slideshow presentation to investors and pharmaceutical companies to pot farms where he greeted entrepreneurs from Hong Kong, to labs where Israeli Arab female workers were separating flowers from stems, to a brainstorming session with his staff finishing details of the new exportation program. Inside the cannabis greenhouses, conditions are strictly monitored. The farmers who tend Israel, along with Canada, is at the forefront of cannabis research and development, outpacing the United States, according to Danielle Piamelli, director of the Center for the Study of Cannabis at the University of California, Irvine. Numerous U.S. states have legalized pot at least for medicinal purposes and increasingly for recreational use as well. But the federal government in the United States in recent years, the study of cannabis was put on the back burner behind coca and poppy plants, the sources of cocaine and opiates. Cannabis was dismissed only last year, after months of clinical trials, did the FDA approve the first medicine derived from cannabis for use in the United States named Epidiolex. It is a cannabidiol medication extracted from marijuana for treatment of severe seizure disorders in children. The regulations for clinical trials in Israel are more relaxed, which also speeds up the development of cannabis-based drugs. Mecho Ulam, the pioneer, looks back with understated pride at how far the industry has advanced in Israel in recent years. With no plans to retire and his legacy secured, he still shows up most mornings at his cramped office, dons his lab coat and continues his work looking for new applications of cannabis. There. Times staff writer Wilkinson was recently on assignment in Jerusalem. Tarnopolsky, visit the Los Angeles Times it.
Raindrops, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.